ever wondered why the market always goes against you? Many times after you've bought a share, then share prices started to drop. Is it because that the market doesn't like you? How do we overcome this situation then? M+Wiz, which alerts on potential entry for trending stocks, might do the trick for you. Is that all for the Wiz feature? Not at all. To find out more, please visit us at mplusonline.com/wiz. Have you ever wondered why the market always goes against you? Many times after you've bought a share, then share prices started to drop. Is it because that the market doesn't like you? How do we overcome this situation then? M+Wiz, which alerts on potential entry for trending stocks, might do the trick for you. Is that all for the Wiz feature? Not at all. To find out more, please visit us at mplusonline.com/wiz.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us in this evening. So, before I start, I'll make sure can you all hear me? If you can hear me, please type yes in the comment section below. Okay? So, do help us to like and share this video. Okay, so your friends and family can learn more about this company that we're going to talk about today. So, if you guys can hear me, please type yes in the comment section below. Okay, so today we organized this session to bring you some insights on this company, Granflo, listed in the main market in Busan, Asia. So Granflo is a property developer and they specialize in rehabilitating mega abandoned projects. Okay, they have a long track record and have experience of more than 20 over years. But I'm not the person to talk about this company here today. That's why we have these three special guests with us today from Granflo. We have Executive Chairman Dr. Sri Choi, Chief Financial Officer Mr. Edmund Khan, and non-independent non-executive director Mr. Arthur. So, and also we have an important person here to help us ask the important question here today. From our company, Love Securities, we have our Head of Research, Mr. Louis Low. And so to our audiences, please drop your questions in the comment section below and we will get back to you at the end of the session. So stay until the end. And also not to forget, today's session is a special collaboration between Alpha to help bring us this corporate briefing. And now, without further ado, I would like to pass the session to our guest here tonight. And Mr. Atta, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Don, for the introduction. Maybe Ellen, you can share the slide. Okay, I will just give a brief run through the presentation for Granflo Berhad, soon to be known as NCT Alliance Berhad. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, NCT Group is a well-known white knight developer with notable successes in reviving two large-scale projects in Malaysia. First one being the revival of the largest abandoned project in Malaysia, which is located in Bandar Baru, Salak Tinggi, Selangor. The other one being the largest abandoned project in Pahang, which is Pillion Court in Genting Highlands. Next slide. Some background on the group. NCT Group was founded in the 1980s. We started off as a tiling contractor before venturing into main contracting in the year 2000. So in 2008, that is when we officially started our journey into becoming a white knight, as this was the first year that we were appointed as a white knight contractor to revive this project called La Cottage in Sepang by KPKT. So fast forward to 2012, uh, upon completing the La Cottage project, we were entrusted to go into reviving those two large-scale projects that I mentioned before this. So in 2019, YBG Yap Consolidated, which is the private entity of Dato Sri Yap and Dato Yap, acquired a majority stake of 72.59% in Granflo Berhad, and then moved on to dispose of its non-core business. Uh, in other words, the EDCCS segment, the IT segment in 2020, just to realign the group's focus to purely focus on property development uh, moving forward. Next slide. Okay. Throughout the past 35 years, NCT Group has completed more than 10 billion worth of projects, ranging from residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality related development, and also the revival of abandoned projects. Next slide. Okay. The success is mainly attributable to the key management team, which consists of Executive Chairman and Group Managing Director Dato Sri Yap, Group Executive Director Dato Jo Yap, the Executive Director Mr. Yap Chun Ting, and also our CFO Mr. Edmund Tan. Next slide. Okay, so I would shed some light on the multiple proposals which we have obtained shareholders' approvals during our EGM, which was held last Friday. The first one being the proposed Genting acquisitions. The acquisition of Grand Ion Majestic and Grand Ion Delaman, both projects located at the peak of Genting Highlands, for a total purchase consideration of 423 million. As to assist with the development or to do fundraising for this Grand Ion Majestic development, we are also proposing to do a private placement up to 182.5 million shares. The last proposal would be on the name change from Granflo Berhad to NCT Alliance Berhad to better reflect and enhance the group's corporate branding and identity in the property development sector. So we are looking to complete uh, these proposals by this month. Okay, next slide. The proposed Genting acquisitions will actually be funded via a combination of cash, assumption of liabilities, and also the issuance of RCOWs in multiple tranches. Next slide. So the next few slides will be covering on the market outlook of Genting Highlands. We all know that Genting Highlands is not only one of the most established tourist destinations in Malaysia, but it's also renowned internationally. So, from pre-pandemic times, the footfall, in other words, the day trippers, the hotel guests, to Resort World Genting have been increasing from 2014 to 2019. This is backed by a solid occupancy rate with a high of 97%. However, those figures took a hit in 2020 when COVID-19 hit us. So, according to Knight Frank research, underpinned by the current vaccination rollout program and also the highly anticipated opening of Genting's outdoor theme park by the second half of this year, the footfall in Resort World Genting is expected to recover in 2022. So, aligned with this recovery, the demand for room nights in Genting Highlands is also forecasted to exceed its supply in the same year. So, these two are the main reasons we believe to be the push factor for the saleability and the property market outlook for Genting Highlands in the year to come. Next slide. Okay, these two projects that we propose to acquire are also strategically located in the sense that they are close enough to benefit from the spillover effects of the developments of Resort World Genting, being just 5 to 10 minutes drive away from there. These two projects are also the only projects that are at the peak of Genting Highlands, which are not owned by the Genting Group. So, in line with the recovery that I mentioned before this, we still believe that the products that are being offered in these two projects, namely service apartment units that range from small size units up to 3 bedroom units of 1,000 plus square feet, still prove to be a good investment opportunity for property investors who have the same bullish view in terms of the recovery of Genting Highlands in the years to come. Next slide. Okay. So next two slides will be on the proposed Genting acquisitions. The first one being the acquisition of Grand Ion Majestic. This is actually an acquisition of the development rights of the project. So the acquisition of this project will give us access to 1.1 billion of residual GDV with an estimated gross development profit of 252 million to be realized over the course of 3 years. That is 120% of ROI that we are looking at. One of the key selling points of this project is, of course, the tie-up with the world's largest hotel chain, hotel operator, which is Wyndham. So the branding effect is evident in the sense that up to early of May, we have secured approximately 49% of sales. On the other hand, we also have over 150 units of bookings, which upon full conversion will further bring up the sales rate up to 58%. So upon the completion of this project in 2023, the commercial properties which are valued by Knight Frank at 140 million is expected to generate further recurring income base to the group. I will just use the example of the yield that we will be expecting to get from Grand Ion Development's commercial area of 7%. So a 7% yield on 140 million of valuation will give us around 9 million of recurring income base every year upon the completion of this project. And 80% of those commercial properties are expected to be taken up by the hotel operator for its operations. Next slide. The proposed Grand Ion Development acquisition consists of 100 units of service apartments, 15 commercial properties that come with 43 accessory parcels. The total consideration of 213 million can be split into two parts. The first part being the acquisition of the commercial area at 120 million, which will give the group a recurring income, guaranteed recurring income of 7%, which is 8.4 million in terms of monetary terms for the coming 5 years. As for the service apartments, we're also acquiring them at 15% bulk discount on top of Knight Frank's valuation. So in comparison to our proposed selling value of all these service apartments of for 130 million, we expect to be able to generate potential profit of 37 million, which is a 40% ROI over the course of 3 years. So collectively, these two Genting acquisitions will at least give us around 290 to 300 million of profit in the years to come. Next slide. Okay, the next few slides will be on the outlook of the abandoned projects in Malaysia and also case studies of our successful revival cases. Next slide, please. Okay, as we can see from here, the data from Ministry of Housing and Local Government shows that the number of abandoned projects have actually more than doubled since a decade ago. So just to note that the abandoned projects that are directly under the state government or those that are not under the governance of the Housing Development Act have yet to be included in these 212 figures shown here. So we can say that in the whole of Malaysia, there are more than 212 abandoned projects. So in order to support the successful rehabilitation of all these abandoned projects, the White Knight developer will normally be incentivized in their process of doing so. For instance, during our rehabilitation of those two large-scale projects that I mentioned, we managed to enjoy some tax incentives. For example, the double deduction on financing costs that we incurred for the rehabilitation works, and also the exemption of stamp duty on the loan agreement. We also managed to tap into additional land banking opportunities, which I will elaborate more later on. Also, the authorities will normally be more lenient in terms of the approval, giving us certain benefits like higher plot ratio for the whole redevelopment, etc. The financiers are also very keen or very supportive in terms of funding, as a successful revival can mean that they can have a right back in terms of their NPL, which they have written off many years in the past. Next slide. So this is just for info. Next slide. Okay, now we come to the case study of the largest abandoned project which we have successfully revived in Malaysia. So we have to go back to 2008, which is how we started. So in 2008, we were appointed as the White Knight contractor for this abandoned project called La Cottage by KPKT, Ministry of Housing and Local Government. So upon our successful revival, we were recognized for our capabilities. And in 2012, we were entrusted to go in to revive this largest abandoned project in Malaysia. So the project actually has it's over 315 acres, involving over 2,500 purchasers. So they have all waited for more than 10 years at that point in time before even getting the units that they purchased. So in the span of 2 years, we successfully handed over all 713 units of residential properties to all the end buyers, and then subsequently completing Salak Perdana Business Park from 2016 to 2018. Over this 6 year period, the project actually gave us solid margins of 15 to 20%. However, actually the hidden value of this project, or hidden value of abandoned projects that we uncovered, is on this land sale which we did to in 2015 to Paramount Corporation Berhad. So our entry cost to this project is actually only around 6 ringgit per square foot. In addition to our infrastructure costs that we incurred, it brings our cost up to 13 ringgit. So when we sold to Paramount, the price that we fetched was 23 ringgit and 50 cents. So this is only made possible from the appreciation of the land post our successful rehabilitation works, and also land banking opportunities I mentioned in the previous slide is also a good example that can be shown here. This 2.7 acre of undeveloped land, we managed to convert it and got the approvals for it to be rebuilt as a residential project called Acacia Residences, which gives us a GDV of 143 million. This project is currently ongoing under Granflo Berhad. Next slide. Okay, at the same time, we also went in as a white knight for the largest abandoned project in Pahang, which is Pavilion Court in Genting Highlands. So upon our successful turnaround, this has become what we know as Grand Ion Development. So the project was already completed, and over a 6 year period, we managed to generate relatively high margins of 30 to 35%. This is made possible due to our extremely low entry cost to this project, and also land banking opportunities realized in the sense that Grand Ion Majestic is actually just adjacent to the completed Grand Ion Development project. These two projects collectively give a GDV of approximately 3 billion, comparing to our entry cost of just 18.5 million. The land cost to GDV ratio is just lesser than 1%. So this is another example of how we managed to tap into and unlock the hidden value of all these abandoned projects. Next slide. Okay, the next slide will be on how we managed to do what we have been doing so successfully in terms of reviving abandoned projects. The key factor, I would say, is because we are specialists with very specific set of technical know-hows. As this industry is actually high barrier of entry industry, I would say. So this is also justified by our strong execution team with vast experience, who have been through 2 large-scale abandoned projects with us. We're able to have the backing and support of this team from the assessment stage up to the implementation stage of the project, together with the strategy to redevelop the abandoned project. So also leveraging on our success on the revival of abandoned projects, we managed to become the choice in mind when it comes to all these revival projects. The project stakeholders, like the liquidators, scheme managers, lawyers, chargy banks, the local authority, or even the federal government, they will be coming to us for the proposals or to inquire whether we want to take up the revival projects or not. We are also aligned in the sense that our objectives are also to solve all these social issues by successfully reviving these projects. Okay, in combination with low entry costs that we are able to get from the venture of all these revival projects, coupled with our experience and strong track record in the construction industry for more than 35 years, we are able to have a strong grip, tight control in terms of the project costing. All these factors give us strong earnings with higher margins in comparison to our peers. Next slide. Okay. Besides being a developer with a niche expertise in revival projects, we are also an all-rounded developer. As throughout our past 35 years in the industry, we have taken on an extensive range of projects from residential up to hospitality-related development. So this gives us the flexibility to weather through different economic conditions. For example, when the economy is on a downturn, we can shift our focus to be doing revival of abandoned projects. When the economy is on an upturn, we can still take on conventional projects and launch different products in accordance to the market demand by then. Next slide. Okay, the next few slides will be on the financial profile of the group post the takeover by the new management. Next slide. Okay, as we can see, the revenue, the PAT, and also PAT margins have been on an uptrend. And Q4 of the last financial year was the record high for the whole year. So the reason why you see a drop in the first quarter this year in terms of the top line is because one of our ongoing projects, Makota Kampa, has reached its tail end. And the only ongoing project currently under Granflo is just Acacia Residence. So in order to address the sustainability issue and to ensure earnings visibility in the years to come, the management has proposed the two Genting acquisitions that have gone through just now. And also moving forward with a mix of non-abandoned and abandoned projects that are expected to be undertaken by the group. An average of 20% PAT margin is expected to be maintained. Next slide. Okay. In the last financial year, Granflo had very low to minimal level of gearing. It is only up to the first quarter this year, we have geared up to 12.8%. This is the reason why we believe we still have the financing capacity to further embark on expansion plans and further grow the company. Next slide. Okay, just to do a quick summary, NCT is a property developer with niche expertise in reviving abandoned projects. It is also due to this niche expertise, we were able to uncover the hidden values of all these abandoned projects, which in turn give us higher margins. The proposed Genting acquisitions will also give earnings visibility in the coming 3 years, together with a recurring income base being established. Being an all-rounded developer also gives us the flexibility to weather through different economic conditions. When the economy is on a downturn, we can always shift our focus to be doing revival projects. When the economy is on an upturn, we can still take on conventional projects and launch different products which will suit to the market needs. So NCT Group on the private side also has fast future developments amounting to more than 4 billion in the years to come. That will be all for my sharing. Any questions from the floor?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Arthur, for your presentation. There was a lot of insight, definitely a lot of things coming ahead. Okay. So now we do have some questions from the floor, and we also have prepared some ourselves. So to the audiences who are listening now, do drop your questions in the comment section and we will get it to you. So now I'll pass it over to Louis to get the ball rolling.
Hi everyone. Good evening, everyone. So thank you so much for supporting our webinar today. Today we have Granflo with us, and really appreciate their time for this event. And I just have a few questions. I think a lot of people want to understand how this this abandoned project and what are the challenges of this abandoned project. Maybe you all can share some lights with the audience, because it's not easy. It's definitely not easy to go through this process of abandoned project, because you never know where is the time bomb. Maybe when you take up the project, only you will know, right? So maybe you can share with us the process of how do you select this abandoned project and how do you revive it, and what are the challenges?
Okay, I think actually the whole process from the takeover up to the construction is approximately 15 months. So at the beginning, we would, like what I mentioned just now, some of the project stakeholders will actually approach us on whether we want to take up the revival or not. Then we will have to send in our team to do our own assessment together with our own professionals or consultant team to do the assessment. If the project is viable, we will be appointed to be the white knight. And then after that, we will be
Appoint the scheme manager.
yeah, we will appoint the scheme manager also, and then we will be meeting up with the stakeholders, the most important one, the purchasers or the creditors. Then we will be having a few rounds of meetings with them in order to find out most beneficial or win-win situation. We'll be coming up with the scheme which will satisfy all parties before moving in to convey a court convene meeting or CCM meeting, which we call. The meeting will actually, it is something like our AGM or EGM. We will need a quorum of 75% of the unsecured creditors to form the quorum, with a simple majority of 51% approval for the scheme to be put through. Okay, after that, the scheme will be sanctioned by the court. So the process after that is the purchaser or us as a white knight developer, we have to fulfill certain CPs of the rehabilitation, and then it is up to the purchasers to have their election whether they want to opt in into the scheme or opt out of the scheme. Opt in meaning they still want to continue. All right, they want to continue, but they need to top up a certain amount for us to complete the handover, complete the construction for them. If they opt out, there will be a compensation mechanism that which will be agreed upon with all the purchasers. So after the election period, then we can get our approvals and start the construction. So this whole process roughly takes around 15 to 18 months. So one of the most, I think, challenging obstacles is actually you need to be very familiar with the legal aspects and all the regulatory processes of the revival projects. And then there are also some hidden costs, not just only hidden values. There are also some hidden costs which might be due to some new requirements imposed by the authorities and all that. And also, before the scheme can be successfully sanctioned or approved by the purchasers, we also need to be spending some professional fees and all that upfront. So I would say those two are the most challenging aspects of the revival projects. But so far, based on our track record, our revival projects have been very successful.
Okay, thank you. So just a follow-up question on these challenges and things like that. So what if there is less than 51% say I want to revive? So are you going to abandon this abandoned project? So how does it go about?
Okay, I think let me to answer this question. If really touchwood is below 51% of the voting, I think consider this scheme we need to revise again. Maybe the condition is not more favor to the purchaser. So after that, we will come back and study again, and also we will discuss with the purchaser again, and see what kind of condition we need to revise and benefit them, or maybe to get back their value or whatever lah. Then after that, I think we will submit to the bank, must submit to the court for sanction again.
So I guess it is a win-win situation if you are able to give them a good deal, and they are willing to go through with you on the revival of the projects. Then most likely, most of the time, you will get 51% and more of agreeable tenants, right? Is that right?
Yes. I
Okay,
think
okay, that would
yes.
be great.
Ah,
So I think it's about the good deals that you are able to give them, and provided that you are also able to get back your margins from that. So to talk about the cost, because right now you're portraying as a very niche property player. So how are you different from the property players in terms of the cost structure? I would like to ask because I understand that most of the property developers out there are always looking at huge land bank costs. So just like you mentioned, around 6 to 7 ringgit per square foot. So is it all abandoned projects are around this level? And what is the comparable normal property developers land cost that we can compare to?
Okay, I think based on our past experience, the land cost to GDV ratio for the two abandoned projects which I've shared just now is actually lesser than 5% in comparison to the GDV. As for the conventional developers, I would believe that the land cost to GDV ratio would be around 15 to 20%.
Okay, so in terms of your cost structure, you are much leaner compared to them, right?
In terms of
So
the entry costs, yes.
okay, so someone from the Facebook has asked, is it because that you have picked up from a bargain, such as because it is already abandoned and no one wanted it, and is that correct to say that?
Actually, okay, maybe I just put this in context. So our entry cost to this project is mainly one part of it is the compensation that we make to the previous purchasers, right? So those projects, they might have been abandoned for more than 10 or 15 years at the point in time when we go in to revive these projects. So when the opt-out mechanism or the compensation mechanism is set, normally, for example, it could be a dollar to dollar or 80 cents to a dollar for what they have paid. So if a purchaser, based on their old SPA price last time, let's say for a unit is 100,000, they have paid in full 100,000. If our scheme or the mechanism of the compensation is 1-to-1, we will only be needing to pay 100,000, which is the amount that they paid, which is also the SPA price for the property 10 or 15 years ago. So that is why you see that in terms of the entry cost, we have some upper hand in terms of the percentage in comparison to our normal conventional developers.
indirectly, we go in for the cost, for the entry cost. It means we can say indirectly saying that there's a 15 years ago cost lah. And also we also come to the existing development, we will enjoy the existing value. That is the one of the hit unlock profit will be created in the new developments.
So in a layman terms, can we say that you are able to buy a project that is 15 years back then price, and then you sell it at current price? So you get the difference between the. Is that right? In the layman?
Yes, right.
Okay. So and follow-up question on that building material. Are you going to be having some impact, or because currently the building materials are on the high side, are you going to be impacted by that?
I think this issue should be everybody also will affected. But anyway, I think most likely, I think after this increment of the building material increase, I think because our Malaysia property now come to the very bottom line already. I think if based on this price increasing, I think sooner or later, I think the property price will going up again.
Okay, so since that you have touched on the outlook, maybe you can also share with us what is the outlook of the property market, because everyone would want to know the bottom, but because we have been bottoming since few years back, since that you have already said we have in the bottoming out phase, what is the outlook right now that you can see? Is it in the next two quarters, are we seeing a very strong surge in property transaction that will happen?
Yeah, it's positive.
I think, given the current vaccination rollout program that is ongoing, I would still say that the economy is actually going on a recovery. And also, like what Dato Sri mentioned, property prices have been bottoming, okay, not just for 1 year, maybe a couple of years already. Coupled with the commodity prices increasing, the raw materials increasing, the property prices, of course, will go in tandem as well, will be increasing as well. And also, the government has been actively trying to spur the property market by introducing several policies. For example, the extension of the HOC, some
Low
easement,
interest.
and also favorable interest rate condition, and also some easement on the loan to value margin financing. So we can expect that the property market is bound for recovery lah. It's just a matter of time. We are very optimistic about that.
Are you benefited under the HOC program for this Genting property?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so most of your projects moving forward will benefit under this HOC program, and since that is also extended to year end, so I guess the take up rate would surge from 49% onwards lah. What is the expectation on the take up rate by year end this year?
So
For the Genting?
65.
65%.
yeah, 65%.
So 65% by year end, then moving to 2022, then 100%. I mean, near to 100% will be first half of next year, lah. Is that right?
Maybe talking about, I think within next year, I think should be shoot up to 90% or 95%.
Okay, great. So we can roughly have an idea of the take-up rate, so that you know that earnings should be coming in. So for that project itself, the earnings should be profit margin should be 10 to 15% or more.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Maybe
looking at
Edmund can take the question.
yeah. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
can.
Yeah, just now Aka has mentioned that we are targeting about 20% as our margin bottom line. So definitely this project will give us that kind of margin, and we expect 2021 should be able to achieve what we want, because based on our injection, as you noted, our injection has reached to achieve about 49% sales, and our ambitious is talking about 400 million. So with the continuous progress of the construction, we definitely will clock in a lot of profits in this year. And of course, come to next year, our progress actually has reached superstructure, which is a typical floor. And we also expect the market to be recovered because of the vaccination drive. So that will push up our sales further. So combinations of sales improvement as well as the construction progress, it will definitely give us a huge impact of our profits for next year. So we are looking good for next year, actually.
Okay, thanks, Edmund. One thing that we have noticed recently is our Prime Minister has also mentioned about the MCO or FMCO recovery plan. So seems like the recovery plan may take longer than expected, maybe towards another 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks under the MCO period. So have this MCO, the recent MCO period affected Granflo in any way?
Okay. I would just share with you on the saleability of Grand Ion Majestic. So since the implementation of the MCO, this MCO 3.0, we have managed to secure on average daily bookings of 1 to 2 units. So this still shows that we have a strong demand in terms of the products that we offer to the market. Just an example.
Okay. So it means that even under MCO period, how do you showcase your units? Is it through Zoom? Your marketing agents will go through whichever channel. What channels do they use?
Yeah, both.
I think, yeah, online or offline, both. You have to go with the times, online also.
And the agent.
The agents are
Okay.
also very aggressive in terms of securing the sales.
Okay. I think 1 to 2 units. Is it per day or per month?
Per day.
Well, that is a very strong
Yeah.
movements for your
So
sales.
imagine the MCO were to lift, that sales will definitely come back. That's why we strongly believe that next year will be very good for us, and this year it will continue the good momentum in terms of sales. We are very confident.
May I know what is the average selling price for the Genting property units, and also what are the demographics that is buying? Is it the youngsters, or is it the working adults, or is it near towards retirement age? Can you share some light?
The 90% is actually a local buyer. So mostly different range, about 40 plus, 30 plus, different range of age group lah. So the target market is not talking about the old people. I mean, it's fairly distributed among the age group. So these are our market. You will be surprised because the majority of it is 90% is actually local buyers. In fact, some of the buyers are spill over from our existing buyers from the next door, the earlier phase.
Means that they have bought the previous projects, then they say it is a good deal, so they buy another round.
Again. Yes.
They buy again within the same area,
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So most of these are definitely for rental yield, right? So these are likely to be on a rental yield basis because they're not going to sell, but they're going to rent it out to people, right?
It's for investment. It's for investment.
Okay, great. Okay, I think there are a few more questions from the floor. From Faisal Hasnan. Okay, so good evening. Can you comment on the significant drop of the recent quarterly result?
I think we have covered that actually in the slide. Yeah. I think Atta has mentioned that because of the tail end projects of Kampa projects, we have a need to inject Genting projects to make sure the sustainability of the company. Yeah.
Okay, another question is referring to the Shara compliance of NCT. Will it be retained after it has turned into NCT? Is there any?
Yeah. We will always retain it. Yeah. We always
Yes.
retain the share compliance.
Okay. Under this kind of very niche property player, do you face any? Do you have any competitors? And if yes, and how do you face it? Yeah.
Actually, I would say there are of course there are some other developers that are also doing abandoned projects, but at this scale that we are embarking on and we have embarked on, I would say that we are the main player in terms of the scalability of all these revival projects.
So it depends on how big is your size. So currently, can you say that you are one of the biggest and strongest abandoned project revival White Knight in Malaysia?
Yes.
Yeah, even the fact that we have successfully revived those two large-scale projects in Malaysia. Yes.
The one is the biggest abandoned project in Malaysia is previously 2012 for the Sarak Tinggi. Another for the Genting projects is the biggest abandoned project in Pahang.
Oh, okay, got it. Thank you, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's one other questions that people will ask is why BG Yap Consolidated Syndrome Berhad, a private entity owned by you, Dato Sri Yap, and also Dato Joe Yap, took over Granflo Berhad in 2019. May I know what is the what triggered you and your brother to buy over the company for asset injection instead of going as an IPO?
Okay, I think suppose before that we also looking at the IPO exercise, but at the moment we have one good opportunity. This Granflo come to us. I think the Granflo come to us when the company we study is very suitable for us to go into the company because they have the three core business. One is the EC business. That means it's a technology sector, and also with the development sector, and also with the construction also. And also the company is quite quite clean lah, quite clean and also without any gearing lah. I think it's a good platform for us to build up the development sector and also maybe in future for the construction side. Actually, we are also the main contractor for about 20 years since 2000. Our client for the main contractor is last time is SP Setia, Putrajaya, and some of the government project like KPKT by Ministry of Sumber Manusia. All this, all we are the main contractor for them for so many years, at least 10 to 15 years.
Okay, yeah. Also, Sri, thank you for your sharing. Just to want to ask that how did because I mean a lot of people want to know the success story of NCD and how do you have this opportunity to go into this very niche market? Is there people guided you in, or are you the think tank that you think that abandoned project is good enough, so you want to do that? Because not many people wants to take abandoned things, right? So what is the trigger point that you determined to say that you want to go into this field?
Okay, I think this is talking about the year 2008. We are appointed as a white knight contractor and work with the one of the recruiter appointed by the KPKT. The one from there, and we also finance the projects for all the development side, all the continual revival construction work. So from there, we were involving quite a lot of the know-how how to revive our projects. So after that, I think we are very successful and with a short time to complete the project. Also recognized by the by KPKT also, and also we found that this project have a lot of hidden profit and can be unlocked. So from the good performance for these projects, then KPKT will ask us to whether can continue for this abandoned project or not. I say yes, so sure. Then he will recommend us to talk to the bank, talk to the Chaji bank, and the bank is MBSB lah. So after we talk to MBSB several times and negotiate with the entry cost, I think we found that there is a very prudential profit you can be created. So after the first Salak Tinggi, I think from there, after our revival profit for the construction is talking about 15% or 20% profit. But the main juice for the projects is the balance of land. Because you see, the entry cost is only 6 ringgit when we took over this land. And after that, we add in another 7 ringgit for the infra cost. Our cost for the land, the balance of land, only 13 ringgit. And we got an opportunity to sold to Paramount, and we sold at 23 ringgit 50 cents. That is we make some money there and also learn a very good experience from there. So concurrently also, I think with the Grand Ion Elements, imagine the Grand Ion Elements, our entry cost is only 18.5 million. We based on this project, We tear down everything, the two old buildings, and redesign again and convert until today's the GTV turn it to 3 billion GTV. So from these two project experience, I think we are very firm our directions to go for this direction to rewind this project, and also with all this benefit, all this profit, beside this profit, we still in the end we can help a lot of people, you know, especially the project owner, the purchaser. Actually, they are is a victim of the projects. So at the end, they can get back their house, their unit, their house, and also maybe to get back their what the money they paid lah. That is one of the like it's a CSR project like that lah. And also we can helping people, and also we also can be and also can help the government to clear out all this problem issue lah. Is one of the also can clear out the government KPI also, because it's an abandoned project in the state or whatever. There is one of the bad image for the government side, for the authority side also. We feel that there is a good area for us to explore.
Okay, thank you. Maybe another few more questions. I just want to understand what is the how many other abandoned projects are there in Malaysia that you all can take up, and can you name a few that that you are eyeing into right now?
I think from here, I think for the numbers, just now Atta has mentioned about how many projects. I think for the government side, government KBKT under KBKT is talking about 200 over projects now. And also other than that, it's not guidance, not government by the KBKT. I still have a lot of state abandoned project also. I think for your information, I think for our private side, we have also obtained one abandoned project is ongoing. There's at Patang Kali also.
Okay.
We're always in this field lah.
Okay. Thanks. So recently, recently any exciting stuff that you want to share throughout your EGM?
I think the most exciting part should be, I mean, if we successfully complete the acquisition by June, we will be able to see the profit contribution from for this Genting project from the 1st of January up to 30th of June reflected in the Q2 results. So that is something quite exciting.
Okay, so which means that the huge impact will come in if this everything is approved, then it will be showing up next 2 quarters. Is that right?
It's already approved. So
okay,
we have to complete it. Yeah,
okay.
We have to complete it.
Completing the CPs.
Yes. CP. Yes.
Okay. So I think the audience would really want to know that answer from you all. Okay, so I think we'll just have maybe one last question, then we will call it a day. Is that all right?
Yep.
So the last question I think is, so if there is any future projects that you are going to take up, do you need more funding for that property developments, or you can go on without funding?
Of course, for new projects, we always go for funding lah. It can be by way of corporate funding. It can by way of project funding. It can be anything. So of course, for new projects, upcoming one, of course, we will look into it lah. Definitely.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I guess that is all the questions that has been posted by the Facebook and also from ourselves. So we will end today's session. I'll pass back to Don. Thank you, Datuk Sri Yap, and also Atta, and also Edmund for joining us in this event. So I'll pass back to you, Don.
Okay, thanks, Louis. Thanks, everyone. And this brings us to the end of our session this evening. So big thank you to Granflo for conducting this corporate briefing, and thanks to Turing Alpha, Alan, for organizing this session with us. And also definitely a big thank you to our audiences that are tuning in. So everyone, thank you, stay safe, and have a good evening. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Goodbye. Bye. See you.